Hey everybody, welcome to the Unqualified Film Bros podcast. Max, you look different tonight.
Yeah, I was just feeling I wanted to get a little taller. I wanted my hair. I wanted a beard. I wanted glasses. And I wanted to become a really big fan of the Boston Cannons lacrosse team. So here I am.
Ben, you look the same.
Welcome. Yeah,
Oh, thank you.
that's kind of typical.
And Ben, you look the same as you did 3 years ago when we started this show. So I think you
I
might
look
be toothless, or
I
perhaps
look the same as I did when I was 8, so immortal's looking more and more likely.
first human being ever to live a billion years.
And a billion, gajillion years. Just like the amount of money that this movie is gonna make.
Hmm.
This movie is going to make $1 twistillion.
There we go. Now
So
we
hey,
we
we're
got
talking
the
about Twisters.
Yeah, we sure are.
It's the movie of the summer so far, I think.
Yeah, I think. Unless you count Dune Part 2, but that came out a little early. Oh, wait, was it March? It felt
Yeah.
like later than that. Well, I only saw it a couple weeks ago, so to me, it's the movie of the summer.
What do you guys think?
Um, it delivered on its premise. I'll say that there were a lot of twisters. So case closed. I think that covers it. See you next week. No, I was curious going into it how they were going to make natural disasters like a plot. Um, and what they came up with kind of made like it made sense from a movie standpoint. Um, it didn't like it was a little odd. Like we were gonna cure tornadoes, basically, was like the goal. Which would is a great goal. I don't after having seen this movie, I don't know why anyone would want to live in Oklahoma. So I applaud them for making Oklahoma livable. Um, but of course that even if that experiment happened in real life, it's not like that would you know, turn into standard practice all over the world. So science moves at a slow pace, but they got a very handsome Glen Powell doing it. Would probably speed things along, and that's
Yeah,
my take.
he could be the icon.
Yeah,
But
make
yeah, I
Glen
thought
Powell the face of whatever you want to get the public to buy in.
that's absolutely true. I thought it was a great movie. I mean, it's not like a groundbreaking movie or whatever, but it's a very fun summer blockbuster, which there hasn't been a lot of those recently. They seem to be like crowded out by a lot of Marvel movies typically, but Marvel's been like lacking, they're
Bad.
slacking.
Yeah.
And then there's Deadpool coming out, so we'll see how this goes.
Do you remember what summer was defined by 1 year ago this week?
Uh Barbenheimer.
But
Yeah.
I mean, that truly was
But
a
those were not like summer
No, but yeah,
blockbusters
it's not.
the way you think
And
of summer.
also, yeah, they're not really summer blockbusters. It was kind of
Now,
like a
two weeks before,
phenomenon.
2 weeks before that was Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning, which is like a summer blockbuster action movie, and then it was completely
Yeah,
dropped.
but that's also like it's held up by Tom Cruise. This is a non like sequel, non this is just Twisters, man.
I don't
It's
know if
just
this.
Glenn Powell going out there. Steven Spielberg produced it, but he produces a lot.
I won't anoint Glenn Powell to be what Tom Cruise is, but I doubt this movie is as popular as it is, or I doubt this movie it is as good as it is without Glenn Powell.
That's true.
If you put some
But
unknown actor in the role of Tyler Owens in this film, who goes to see it?
us probably because we had some time to kill, but
yeah,
that doesn't
We
get it
did have
either.
some time to kill. That was a fun
I mean, I
decision
don't know.
Yeah.
for the
I
moment to go see it.
I don't know. Regardless, though, it's nice to see this type of movie. Like Mission Impossible is still a sequel, the seventh sequel. I mean, they've been running for 20 years. They've always done well in the box office. It's not exactly rocket science that it's going to make money.
True.
Twisters. I mean, even with Glen Powell, even with popular stars before, they've lost a lot of money doing something like this. This one, they've done really well with their marketing. Um, and it seems like it's something that's interesting enough for people young and old to go see, which is a rare thing. That's what you need for summer blockbuster. You gotta bring the entire audience in. And this is a plot that anyone can kind of grasp and enjoy, I guess.
Yeah, and it
Yeah,
doesn't necessitate having seen Twister from 1996.
No,
Uh,
I mean,
it was a good
it's
they don't
decision.
it's not a
reference it at all.
sequel. They don't reference it at all. The only common thread that I can, or two common threads that I can find, and that's one, the logo uses the same font for obvious reasons, and two is Paul Scheer is in both, even though it's just a cameo in this one. As
Who is
the
he in this one?
He's the security guard at the airport right at the end of the movie.
Oh, yeah.
He had a very small part in the first film. I'm given to understand. I haven't seen it yet. Um, but no common threads whatsoever in terms of story, in terms of lineage,
That's completely
and it
fine.
doesn't need
It's
it.
not like you brought up Mission Impossible, and though it's still, it retains Ethan Hunt. They were completely fine, just interchanging people, bringing somebody out, bringing somebody back in,
They
not
were,
explaining
but
it.
also once they started establishing like a through line of the team, they got better. Like four, five, six, and seven are much better than one, two, and three.
My point was mainly that they don't waste time like talking about it.
Right.
It's like I see too
I
many
agree.
movies where, oh, we have different people. Oh, these people aren't here. We have to insert like 5 minute scene as to why not. And
Yeah.
it's just not important. Like it's
Yeah,
so much better.
we all know why the twisters are there.
Yeah.
It's Oklahoma.
Yep, they hate small towns in Oklahoma.
Tornadoes are happening and then they just go straight into it. So
Hmm.
I feel like it's a lot of fun, It's like a ride. I love the scene where the movie they're in the movie theater and the movie theater
Mm.
screen gets ripped off by the tornado.
Sucked
That
out
is that,
into the
that
Yeah,
was
into
a
the storm.
yeah, they
that
have
was a
some great. I mean, you have to making a movie about tornadoes. You have to have great like heavy thing gets lifted off the sky and sucked into a
but
tornado.
I thought it was just perfect that it was a movie theater
Yeah,
and it was off the screen, so it's like they're watching it's meant to bring the audience in, I guess. I
yeah,
thought it was
But
a clever
it's
scene though.
the idea of it bringing the audience in is like subtle, right? Like it could be heavy-handed, like, oh, it's like we're watching the tornado. They could have all just stopped and stared at it for a minute, really hit you over the head with the metaphor. But no, it's the chaos continues, and we're just all of a sudden there with them.
yeah. Or the movie that they were watching on screen could have been the 1996 Twister. Uh,
It's like I remember it's not a movie, but The Matrix had a game where at some point you fight somebody in a movie theater, and the movie theater is playing The Matrix, the movie. It's like what? What the?
for a video game, I get it. For this movie that
I
might have been
feel
a
like
lot of fun.
anytime you're
Also,
you're going that much meta whatever nonsense, the only time I'll accept it is Halloween 3 plays Halloween, the original movie. Um, it works. It works.
yeah,
It's 5 seconds or whatever, but yeah, they don't go heavy-handed. It's just a nice scene. I
yeah,
think the production design is great. The effects are great.
Everything about that small town at the end of the movie, and we can talk about the effects throughout the rest of the film. But that small town at the end of the movie, I think the thing that really stood out to me was the water tower falling
Mm.
down, and pinning Tyler and Javi showing up, which was very predictable, at least to me. Um, but
Yeah,
the
it's
way
not
that they
exactly a non-cliched
right,
no,
screenplay, but
um, but
he
just
shows actually just before you make your point, I find it funny. He shows up, you got one cliche, and then you have the second cliche where they bring back you need leverage. And it's actually the same person. A double whammy. But continue. Sorry.
no, I was just saying that I've watched some of the behind the scenes clips of how they did the water tower, how they set up the town, and it's so easy. Like last night, Monday night, I watched. the Dwayne Johnson San Andreas movie, which destroys San Francisco,
Hmm.
bigger
Great
scale
movie.
than a small Oklahoma town. But the devastation is just so insanely over the top in that movie. And granted, it probably had a much larger budget than this one did, but this film, first of all, shooting on location in Oklahoma and also having to deal with actual tornadoes halting production,
Yeah.
like the way that they set up an entire town just to be absolutely destroyed by visual effects, to have it look as good as it did while also feeling very realistic, made the third act of this movie a lot stronger for me.
Yeah, I mean, I think I just given that tornadoes are one, our impression of Oklahoma is very rural, very like far apart, small towns, whatever. Um, but then the tornado didn't go through like Tulsa or Oklahoma City. One, they probably didn't have the budget for that. But two, it made it feel like having Kate be from a small town and then not that she saved the town because a lot of it was destroyed, but she saved a lot of the people in the town with her I'll say experiment at the end was a nice like I think it fit that kind of small town America that we saw all those tweets about this movie is going to make you want to shoot a shotgun, drink Bud Light on the back of a pickup truck, like that type of America vibes. That I think the like the small townness of the final acts, like the fact that it was a smaller scale, helped the movie, whereas a lot of these disaster movies go for the biggest thing they can. Um,
Yeah, I think it's a good point. And also it's hard to when you just destroy like, a few homes or something, it's really easy to see the emotion on people's face and stuff. If you just
mm,
destroy like an entire city or state or God knows
It's
how
too big.
much, it's
yeah.
just like, oh wow, well that's gone, I guess. It feels so unreal that the human cannot connect with it. It's just so much.
And we get a sense of that scale on a much smaller scale in this movie because when we first start to get the impression that Tyler's team is not just a bunch of internet douchebags and they're actually good people, when they go to the first devastated town early on in the second act, uh, we see like a few buildings destroyed and we see like there's that great shot where they start on the guy in the house, or I don't, maybe it's a woman in a house, and then they pull out to show that the house has been destroyed, and then that street has been
Yeah,
just torn through. So well done.
so
Um,
good.
but you get the impression of, and Ben, you're absolutely right. You're getting the impression of the individualized impact of something like this, and then at the end of the film, it's an entire town, but you're still feeling the the small nature of it compared with, I'll reference again San Andreas, where it's just it's too big to. I mean, I love San Francisco, but it's just again over the top. So
Yep.
much. Oh, it's a 9.6 earthquake, the biggest ever in recorded history. Okay, and The Rock saved his daughter, so we're gonna go stand on the top of a cliff and look at all the devastation
You
and end
see,
of the movie.
moving rocks are not enough to destabilize the rock.
Is that how they marketed the movie? Because if not, they should have.
I don't think they did, but I really think they should have.
If
Yeah.
they ever invent time travel, Ben, I want you to go back 9 years and pitch that.
Make a bajillion dollars. Wow, that's such a great tagline.
I mean, you could also say in Earthquillion dollars.
Not as good as Twistilian.
Yeah,
Yeah.
a
Variations
little
on a
too
theme.
forced. A little too forced.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean the movie was awesome. Like they,
Yeah.
I don't know I don't know how much to say. Like there's not
Well,
that much that goes on. It's just like a easy summer block. But Glen Powell is amazing, obviously. Daisy Edgar Jones is good. I don't think anyone is like spectacular. It's just
No, you don't need to be spectacular.
No.
No, I mean, like they say about Godzilla movies and monster movies, those are the main characters and the people are just the supporting cast. The
Mm.
twisters are the main characters of this movie. They're
Well,
what you go there to see.
it's not quite Godzilla is literally like you just want to see that man destroy things. Whereas
Man,
with Twisters, I thought the people were important.
yeah, and it was funny, Aiden, you brought up Kate's experiment at the end of the movie and how it sort of comes full circle with her sending up everything to turn the humidity into rain and then uh having the dry powder, I forget the exact combination of elements there, uh basically reduce the thing to a single cloud and then evaporate.
Yeah.
Um, but I thought in the moment that this movie could have gone in the direction of let's abandon the science, even though we built it up so much in the interest of helping the town.
Mm.
Like I thought when they chose to go help people instead of going out to immediately tackle the tornado, I thought, oh, they're giving up on the project, they're helping the town. That's that's a nice sort of change of heart for these characters and character development to put the most important things first.
Yeah.
And then of course, it's headed right for the theater where everyone is. How are we going to stop this thing? And it was kismet. It was fate and Kate had to go out there and save the day, but it felt as much as they sort of set up the angle that I just described, it did feel earned for her to go out there and make it happen and have it actually work because the whole movie she's wondered why it didn't work and dealt with the survivor's guilt of seeing her boyfriend and two of her best friends die and then losing Javi for 5 years. It's Kate's moment and she goes out there and seizes it.
Yeah. I in kind of contrasting, I thought like I knew that the experiment was going to work, and at the end of it, they were going to kill a tornado, basically. Um, when they decided to go straight to the town, I thought it was going to be even more um, like drastic. Like George and I saw this movie together when I was in Connecticut over the weekend. Um, and I whispered to him at some point, like halfway through the movie, probably like a woman in a tornado enter an Oklahoma field, only one of them can leave. And I really thought it was going to be like they pull up in front of the town, the truck with all the supplies on it parks in front of the town in the path of the tornado, and she basically like stands in front and saves the whole town. That would have been probably like the version of this movie that was made in the 60s. Um, they definitely, like you said, they earned the moment at the end where it really felt like they were out of options. And so I'm glad that they didn't do what I just described that I thought they would do. Uh, but yeah, felt very earned. I do wish, they'd saved some more homes, and I think a few people got sucked into the tornado who presumably all die because they
Well, it's their own fucking fault because everybody was trying to move them to the back of the theater and they didn't move, I guess. So
also
I don't
it's
feel bad.
it seems like every town in this state needs to have either a
A,
public tornado
a
shelter or
tornado shelter? Yeah.
yeah.
Or how
Um,
about a basement?
yeah,
Or
every building
basement.
needs a basement.
Either.
Because when they're at the when Kate and Tyler go to the rodeo, which not my first rodeo, come on.
No, I
Come
liked
on,
it.
Joseph Kosinski. Do
No,
better.
no. I thought that was actually a clever
And no, it
line.
was hilarious. Um, but when they're at the rodeo and they're in this other small town, they have to go to a motel to try to find a basement, and then oh no, we actually have to just get in the pool, go
Which
on
thank
and
goodness it's empty.
yeah. I don't know if
Yeah,
having water in it would have made it worse for protection.
definitely worse. Yeah, because the water would have gotten sucked up. Um, that was probably the movie or the point in the movie where they not lost me, but where the tornadoes felt most like a character. Like the tornadoes are stalking this woman, trying to kill her. Uh, and on a related note, like I know they say at the beginning of the movie, it's like a historic tornado like season for Oklahoma. But I think by the end of it, we are supposed to believe Kate's actually only been there a week, and there have been like multiple tornadoes within easy driving distance every day. Uh, it's another like, why the hell does anyone live here? Um,
Well, they
Well,
don't
then
have anywhere to go.
there's
yeah,
the whole other element with Riggs and David
Yeah,
Corns's
that's the weakest
character.
part of the movie. There's this vague
mm,
like insurance thing going on, but I don't quite understand why he would feel the need to invest in this really expensive tornado tracking
And
whatever data so that he
what are
can
you
make
gonna
money
do
off
with
of people.
that land? Like you're giving people
I
money
don't know.
because they've lost everything, and you're taking their land
It's
from them. What are you
it makes
gaining?
sense on some point to buy the land, I guess, if he thinks the tornadoes will go away. I don't know. But the part that
yeah.
really doesn't make sense is the data. Why do you care about the data? Like what
I think what was happening is just he's investing, and then the comp like Javi and the other people, when they go to a place, they are also basically representatives of that guy. And so it's like, I will give you this the like they're basically employees for him to say, oh hey, you lost this guy will buy your land.
I
He
think
Yeah,
doesn't
but
necessarily
why
want
does
the
he need
data.
the really expensive military tech that probably costs millions of dollars?
yeah, Aiden, that
I
was something
think
I think you and I talked about as we were leaving the
yeah.
theater.
That's
That
the like I
Javi
could
joins
accept
the
everything
military,
else.
leaves the military, and the military lets him take all of this stuff for a private business.
Yeah, for 5 years for a guy who was not in the military at all before, that is an insanely fast pace.
Even regardless of the legality stuff, I didn't understand what in the world he was profiting off of them. Like he buys their land, like okay. Why does he need this technology? What is this data giving him? It just doesn't make any
I
sense.
don't think he cares about the data at all. He's like, these are people who are on the ground when a
Yeah, they're
tornado
willing to
hits
be in the
immediately,
area.
and they can give my name to all of these people. And then he basically just gets his foot in the door faster. He doesn't care about the data at all,
Well,
is my belief. But you're right, it
but
was
that
really
doesn't make
weird.
any sense because they're submitting the data to him. And he's like, "Oh, when's the next tornado? I got to see more of this."
Hmm.
So they're
Yeah, all
trying
right.
to sell
I think he was just keeping
something.
them interested. Well, I think probably Scott, David Cornswant's character, I think he was probably in with Riggs and knew why he was doing it, and Javi was sort of his tool to get, like Aiden was just saying, get in the door. Um,
This is far too complicated.
Yeah, I think the
This
fact
is
that we don't
nonsense.
it
know.
was, yeah,
You
it was
didn't
a
need to. You
subplot
could
that,
just
like, the twisters are the antagonist of this movie. You don't need capitalism to be the antagonist too.
Yeah. But I think
It was an
anytime,
interesting, like, sorry, go ahead.
no, it just anytime, even though like her heart was really in Oklahoma, anytime you have like girl originally from a small town moves to the big city, comes back to the small town, you need to have her reject the big city, big money life in some way. And this was like in that, that classic Americana, um, way that people were talking about this movie. That element of just small town person, like strongly rejects or demonstrably rejects big city lifestyle, the hustle and bustle of Tulsa. Um, you just got to put that in the movie. And Ben, you're right. It was probably the weakest part, just the fact that we are not really sure what his plan was.
yeah. I feel like it wouldn't be that hard to just make it a little more coherent.
Yeah.
Um,
For an action disaster movie, it did feel like every time they were talking to Riggs or talking about Riggs or talking about the insurance stuff, that was the only time in which the movie sort of slowed down, right?
yeah.
Like even when
Well, also, why does this guy? He's just like sitting around, like waiting, because he shows up himself too to a lot of these places.
Yeah.
It's like,
yeah,
here's my card. So, I mean, why does he even need other people? It's just
why
nonsense.
send a team if you're willing to go yourself?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like what is this guy paying for?
Like even when Kate goes home and she's got the reconciliation with her mom and that hilarious outdoor lunch with Tyler, they're moving the characters forward, they're moving the story forward, they're presenting an opportunity for Kate and Tyler to bond, for them to go over the research that will inevitably, excuse me, help them save the day at the end of the film. Like that, there's no twister happening over that 15-20 minutes of the film, but you don't feel like the pace is thrown off in that sequence because stuff is happening. When Riggs and the capitalism and the insurance and all that bullshit happens, you're like, can we get back to the action, please? Or at the very least, can we get back to Daisy Edgar Jones and Glen Powell being on screen?
Um, yeah, I
I
think
do think having Riggs and that whole angle makes Javi a more interesting character,
mm,
where for a lot of the second act, he's sort of in this moral gray area. Like he wants to do the right thing, he wants to help Kate, but also he has a job to do, and him sort of wrestling back and forth with what he wants to do with that and where his loyalty lies, I think is well done. I think Anthony Ramos does a really, really good job with it. Um, it's, it's not
Yeah,
totally useless to the movie in that sense, but we can all agree weakest part.
I think there were a lot better ways to do it. I mean, he was obsessed with data in the beginning of the movie. I would just write him be a typical scientist that's, more obsessed with data than the people, and then he finally
mm,
becomes a human and decides to help the people and like sacrifices his, billion-dollar machine that's tracking tornadoes or something like that.
yeah,
I feel like there was a better way to write it than the contrived like he's got an investor that just is ripping off people, I guess. I didn't even seem in line with his character too. Again, I don't know why this guy's investing. Like, there's a million people that would actually want this type of data, I would think.
yeah.
The
The
National
National Weather
Weather
Service for
Service,
one. Yeah,
Yeah,
NOAA,
like
yeah,
the
what
actual
what is this
military,
random
like the National
Oklahoma
Guard,
real estate tycoon doing?
Department of the Interior.
yeah. Farmers
But
unions?
regardless, it doesn't hurt the movie that much.
No.
I still think it's really enjoyable,
Oh,
but there's probably a better way to do it.
it doesn't hurt the movie that much because it's not that big a part of the movie. Like we're
No,
harping on
it's
it a
not.
lot, but it's only a few scenes.
I think I disliked the sort of like animosity they had because I just didn't really believe it, sort of near the end where it's like they're kind of on opposite ends. You get David Cornswet just being like, um, who cares about the people? I hate people.
Mm.
All I care about is this.
Yeah, that was probably the silliest or the least believable part.
Yeah.
Um,
Are
you
we to
know,
believe that he lives?
David Cornswet?
Yeah,
I think
because he
so.
gets sprayed with mud and then the giant, EF 10, 20, 30, 50, EF5 rolls through.
I don't think he was in that. I don't know, man. Dude, I don't know.
It's ambiguous.
yeah,
Maybe it's what gives him his Superman powers, and we'll see him in
it,
Superman next year.
Yes, that's it.
yeah, the way that it's
Or it sent
played,
him to
it's
the
going to
small
be like,
town in Kansas.
yeah,
Actually, sent him to Krypton. Just shot him off into space.
yeah, just
Oh,
all
this
the way
time
up.
next year, we're going to be talking about that movie. I'm very excited.
That's a classic summer blockbuster.
Superman?
Yeah,
Yeah,
but again,
uh,
like big IPs and the stuff. Twisters is not a big IP.
no,
It's a random story that should not get any of this box office
no,
money, but it
yeah,
is
and that's great.
somehow. Just it's well done, and Glen Powell's there.
Yep,
He's doing a great job being the action
He
star.
is
yeah,
having just a remarkable run since Top Gun Maverick.
yeah.
Yeah,
I really hope he doesn't actually have any like huge,
Coffins in
horrible
his closet.
secret. Yeah,
he actually hangs people. That's why they called him Hangman in that movie.
Oh my
Tom
God.
Cruise saw his closet.
Tom Cruise has like anointed him the next Tom Cruise,
I know it's great. It's honestly
which
great.
he's got
Yeah.
so much charisma, and we've seen how much chemistry he can have with his co-stars. Like, I'm okay with Glenn Powell being the next big movie star.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, we used to have tons of movie stars, and we don't really have too many anymore.
We don't have any like movie stars. Everyone's just a Marvel actor or not.
Yeah.
Or just like a well-known actor. It's like Timothy Chalamet. Is he a movie star? Not
Or is he
really.
just
He's like a
Timothy
well-known
Chalamet?
actor. He's just
Yeah.
Timothy Chalamet.
Yeah. No, I don't think you could
It's
be
not
a
like Harrison Ford or something. It's like, oh my God.
yeah.
Just somebody known
All right, but
for some type of performance.
Zendaya could do Call Me by Your Name, and Timothy Chalamet could never do Challengers.
I think he could. I think he could.
He could never do Zendaya's role in Challengers.
You underestimate my boy.
And Glenn
He could do
Powell
it.
could absolutely do Challengers.
Oh God, yeah. But could he be more
Be a different movie, I'll tell you that.
Yes, it would. But yeah, I think he is absolute box office,
Mhm.
not just in in real life as a movie star, as a lead actor, being at this point a guarantee on return on investment, but he is genuinely very, very good and very fun to watch
Yeah.
in
Now
everything I've
he's
seen
got the
him in.
charisma.
Yeah. Um yeah, he's been a delight in 2024. Um it definitely seems like everything that's coming out has him in it. So look for him to cameo in Deadpool versus Wolverine next
Yeah, he's
week.
gonna be there.
Oh, for sure.
All right. He's gonna be in every
Yeah.
movie from now on.
Yep. I mean, if we get that the AI
Stop.
movies, he literally could
Stop.
be.
It's going to be
Stop.
some like Polar Express dead-eyed version of him, mocap made by AI.
Yep.
But I think just one last note on him. I think Tyler Owens could have been a really one-dimensional character,
Mm.
but he makes him nuanced. He makes him three-dimensional, where we see a meteorology nerd played by this, you know, classic American boy who happens to be a YouTube sensation with washboard abs.
Yeah.
So
And
I
Welcome
that's
back, Kurt Russell.
more like welcome back,
yeah,
Bill
hopefully
Paxton.
No, Kurt Russell's a better. Bill Paxton was never a.
Bill Paxton was in Twister. That's why I said it.
I know, but Kurt Russell actually is a good. He's kind of who he reminds me of. Um,
yeah.
though a
That's
little Kurt Russell's just got this like casual demeanor to him all the time. Clint Powell
It's
reminds
cool.
him. It
You got
doesn't
that
sound quite the
coolness.
same, but
If they made Tombstone today, I could see Glenn Powell being in the Wyatt Earp role.
yeah, I could see him saying, "I'll be a Huckleberry."
You tell him I'm coming and hell's coming with me.
It's a great movie.
yeah.
Maybe we'll talk about Tombstone one day. In the meantime, we will be back
Yeah.
next week to talk about Deadpool and Wolverine, our first MCU movie since the Marvels, I think. But we're gonna watch Ryan Reynolds, we're gonna watch Hugh Jackman, we're gonna watch a shit ton of cameos, according to Sean Levy.
Hmm.
So get ready to head into the multiverse. We're seeing some Marvel mutants, and we will address them on the pod next Friday.
All right.
Go see Twisters. We all enjoyed it very, very much.
Yep.
It's
Real
100%
twisters were the
worth it.
friends we made along the way. I had to say it.
It is nice. It is worth seeing on the biggest screen possible. Make that decision, make that investment with your time and your money.
No, it's definitely, yeah, it's a very visual movie, and it's good for studios to see the reward as well, that it doesn't have to be, strongly existing IP for a film to be successful. Because I don't think any of us want this endless parade of sequels and reboots. So for that
So
reason
yeah,
alone, it's Master.
be sure to watch it on the biggest iPhone.
I will watch two on my phone just despite George. That's not true. But I watched it on my not very good TV at home. Anyway.
All right, Deadpool and Wolverine next week.
Uh,
See
All
you.
right,
See you
well,
then. Aiden, thanks for hanging
yeah.
out tonight.
Always happy to talk about tornadoes.
yeah, let's see, Max.
Yeah, Max,
Let me
you
go back
might
to
look
being
different
a
next
law
week.
student.
All right, good night.
Good
See
night.
ya.